Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. I'm thrilled you're here with us. If you're joining us for the first time today, I'm Belinda Sandor, and I help established and aspiring virtual assistants create, grow, and scale their businesses as virtual assistants. And I work with my students in my free online courses, my community and coaching programs. And today I'm going to be your host. So I'm thrilled you're here. I'd love to hear where you're coming in from. I see some of you joining us. We're finally streaming in our big community this morning. I'm thrilled about that. We figured it out. And so if you're watching from the VA Connection, our community with over 52,000 members, welcome and come on in. So let me just share my screen. One moment. Let's see. It's so funny. We get ahead of ourselves, don't we? We're going to share our screen. We're going to share this screen right here. All right, good. Okay, excellent, excellent. So come on in, welcome. And so today we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is chasing freedom. Chasing freedom. I think that can be a very, oh my gosh, what's the word I want to use? It can be elusive. There you go. It can be elusive. And I want to make sure that we have this in the right mindset, because it can lead to a lot of disappointment when we're chasing something that I'm not sure actually exists. Okay, so let's jump in. So this is this is me and my daughter Emily 14 years ago. And if you're someone who's struggling with what to do in the next chapter in your life, you're definitely going to be able to relate to this. So like I said, this is me and my daughter in 2010. I had a failed business. I'm getting a divorce. I have no job. I have a ton of debt. I'm about to turn 50. And I felt like I was at the end of a dead end road. You know, I didn't know what to do. And I can't even say I was living paycheck to paycheck. It was more like moment to moment. And so I started to try to get a job because I thought that was the fastest way to make money. So I spent a ton of time on my resume, my LinkedIn profile, contacting, employment agencies, reaching out to past colleagues, and nothing was happening. And I was getting really discouraged, and I couldn't wait any longer to make money. So I decided to do temp work, right? So that's office work, like it's contract work, right? And I had spent years as a secretary in the 80s and the 90s, and I had no trouble getting assignments as a temp. So that was really awesome. I loved it. I loved helping people. I loved making money. And I felt like I was making a difference. And what I didn't like was I didn't like the commute. I didn't like sharing a large percentage of the fees with the employment agency. And in an aha moment, I thought, what if I could offer my services directly to entrepreneurs? You know, I didn't know how to make this happen. I didn't know any business owners, but the whole job search wasn't working, and I was getting desperate. So a few days later, I'm standing at the school bus stop with Emily, and one of the dads asked what was new. And I told him my idea about doing admin work for small business owners, and his face completely lit up. And he was looking for someone to help him with his brand new business. He needed help paying the bills, installing computer software, setting up QuickBooks, and I knew how to do all that. So we met that afternoon. He hired me, and I had my first client. I was so excited. I could hardly stand it because I knew him, I liked him, I was helping him, and I was getting paid. My next new client was a complete game changer for me because working with him was 100% remote. He asked me to do something I had no idea how to do. And for a second, I panicked, and then I told him, and he said, "That's okay. Will you figure it out? I'll pay you for your time." And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Like, actually, I'm going to work from home, learn new stuff, which I love to do, and I'm going to get paid. And that changed everything when I started to see that. I could see how my business could expand beyond where I live because location was no longer an issue. And I realized I didn't have to know all the answers to work with really good clients. And then something really big happened. In 2012, I met my husband, Greg, who lived in Connecticut, 164 miles away from where I was in Boston. So now being able to work from anywhere became even more important. So I got busy. I built all the systems and started getting clients who didn't rely on my location. I moved all my applications to the cloud so I could work from anywhere. And that was huge. And before I knew it, there was a ripple effect. My clients started referring me to friends and family and colleagues. My work was dependable, steady, and I learned how to make it grow. And as a virtual assistant, I've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs and built over 20,000 hours, and I've made more than $1 million in 10 years. And now I help people just like you do the same. And something big happened. So this is the result of all of that, of me moving to Connecticut, of me being able to be location independent. This is the summer of 2021 when Greg and I got married. It was just 3 years ago, last month, and it was amazing because being a virtual assistant made this life possible. Right? The time flexibility, the location freedom, doing work that I love with amazing clients who are willing to pay me. Just amazing. And because of this lifestyle and freedom, I've been able to achieve a dream dream that I'm still sort of pinching myself. I still walk through the house like, we own this house, we live in this house. I can't believe, and every once in a while, Greg and I will be somewhere and he'll just say to me, we live here now. We moved. We moved from the very beginning of our relationship. Greg and I dreamed of owning our own home. And earlier this year, we bought this farmhouse on 21 acres on the coast of the Chesapeake. And, I didn't follow a plan that people would say is normal, right? Normal is not what I did. I had Emily when I was 40. I started a career as a virtual assistant when I was 50. I married the man I've been looking for my whole life at 60. It's not too late to have the life you want. But you've got to start thinking like a successful business owner, right? And let go of some of the things that you might be holding on to that are getting in your way. Okay? Good. All right. So this slide is not supposed to say this. Slide is actually supposed to talk about time flexibility, but I was moving pretty fast today. So we're going to let go of that. Okay. So it's interesting. So, I hear people say repeatedly that they want a business as a virtual assistant because they want time freedom. They also talk about financial freedom, which is a completely different topic, but it's all along the same lines because for most people, time freedom means having the ability to choose when and how you want to work without being restricted by a schedule. Like if you look it up in the dictionary, that's what it says. No restrictions of schedule. Now, I have to say, in my 14 years as a virtual assistant, I have never experienced time freedom. I have deadlines, I have meetings, and I also need to schedule time at my desk to build the necessary hours to reach my revenue goals, right? So I don't want to call it time freedom because I really think that's misleading. What I actually have is time flexibility. I can work only in the mornings. I can work in the afternoons. I can work on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? I can work just 30 or 20 or 15 hours a week. But here's the deal. To navigate time flexibility, you need a plan and you need to prioritize how you spend your time. And if you don't have all the billable hours you want, you need to make sure you're at your desk working on that, right? So do you see the difference? Time flexibility is actually, in many ways, requires more structure because we need to make sure that we put everything into our life that we want to achieve. Now, that can also be time in the garden, time with our kids, exercise, making sure we have plenty of time to eat meals, all the things. So while time freedom seems like the goal, the thing we all want, I don't know that we ever will understand when we get there unless you're a multi-bajillionaires and we're just sort of, traveling the earth. But even with that, there are schedules. So this is not a build it and they will come situation where you can sit in the luxury of your home and you can work in the garden and, take care of all these different things in your life without any regard to your business. It's not like that at all. Now, when I started my business, Rocket Girl Solutions, in 2010, I worked full time even before I had clients. I spent my time networking, building my website, writing email newsletters, practicing talking about my work with others so I would get referrals. I wrote down my goal to reach $100,000 of billable time each year, and then I created a plan to achieve that. I reviewed my plan every single day and made sure I was investing time in activities aligned with the goal. I set deadlines and I kept my word to myself to do them. And you can do the same. You can 100% do the same. So I'd love to hear in the comments your initial thoughts about this idea of time flexibility versus time freedom. And if there's been some confusion about that in your mind, and you've been thinking about time freedom and skipping the steps necessary to get the time flexibility. Now, the first thing to know when trying to achieve time flexibility is your calendar is your friend. Your calendar is your friend. Schedule what's important first, right? Time to eat, time with family, time for friends, time for exercise, and then schedule your work. Your business is meant to work in your life, right? It's meant to work in your life. That's why we're doing it. So make sure that you put the things that are important on your schedule, and then also include enough hours to reach your goals, right? Be deliberate with the amount of time you're going to put on your calendar for billable hours for clients. And when you do this, you can make the most out of your flexibility. Something that I haven't talked about and I wasn't thinking about until this red hot moment is that, a lot of times we have to decide how we want our schedule to go. And we also have to think about the other people in our lives. But for the most part, my days are kind of the same in that I choose what I want to do. And sometimes on the weekends, frequently, I'll work, but I also make sure that I put in enough time to do other things. I really enjoy sitting at my desk. So for me to come in to my office and sit here for 2 hours on a Saturday morning while Greg's playing tennis feels really good to me. And then I stop and I move on to what I want to do, which is planting flowers or hanging out with the chickens or, painting the coop or whatever it is. So you can have a life that's completely integrated as a virtual assistant. And that's one of the things I like about it is that I get to choose what I'm going to do which when you have a job, you don't. You have to show up. And even if there's nothing to do, you have to, I call it FaceTime. This is before Apple iPads. What am I trying to say? iPhones. Before iPhones were invented and FaceTime. But FaceTime for me is when you have to be at your desk looking busy. So when the boss sees you, it looks like you're adding value, right? Even if there's really nothing to do. And that's just a big waste of time, right? That's just a big waste of time. Now, the second thing to do is to put yourself first. It's easy to move yourself to the back of the line and prioritize everyone else in your life. I don't want you to do that because you're going to spin your wheels and get frustrated. You can't really truly help anyone else until you're in good shape, right? When your business is thriving, you'll have the luxury of being generous by providing for your family, treating your friends to lunch, contributing to charities you believe in. But when you don't put yourself first and you're always like, I don't know, the way that I always thought of myself when I was not putting myself first, I felt like a limp rag. I had no power. I had no ability to get anything done. So make sure you put yourself first so you can elevate yourself to a position where you can be generous. You can help other people. Now, time flexibility is incredible when you understand how it works. So let's see what George says. Time flexibility gives you the structure that you need to work your business, which is better. Yes, exactly. So it's interesting because when I had a lot of debt, I thought knowing my financial situation was not something I wanted to know. Like I thought if I know this, it's going to hinder me. I'm not going to be able to make choices because I'm going to have this giant weight on me. And I think that a lot of people look at their calendar the same way. If I have all these things on my calendar, I'm too restricted. Not really. Actually, I have more freedom because if there's something that's on my calendar for today that I don't want to do, it doesn't mean I have to do it. But if I put it on there, it's for a reason. It was a desire I had or an outcome I wanted, And so I can move it till tomorrow. I can take it completely off the calendar, but the calendar is a valuable reminder of what's important and what we want to do. So stay grounded in the benefits of this. Use it as well as you can. Continue to practice. It does take practice, and you can make the most of this amazing lifestyle as a virtual assistant. All right, good. Now I want to tell you about something that's happening. Before we go, we have a brand new training. It's called VA Business Launchpad. We had our first session on Thursday. Our second session is today at 1 o'clock Eastern. I want to invite you to come. I have spent a ton of time working on this. It's the biggest training we've ever done. It's more inclusive than anything we've ever done. There's a ton of mindset work, which we all need, and a new way of looking at virtual assistants. So I invite you to come. The session, like I said, is today. It's at 1 o'clock. You can sign up and get registered at vabusinesslaunchpad.com. And we have this, when you do that, you'll be taken to this super cool page where all the replays, all of the workbooks, all of the things are there waiting, ready for you. So please go on over to the vabusinesslaunchpad.com, sign up, and join me for this amazing event. All right, everybody, I'm Belinda Sandor, signing off. Until next time, bye for now.